I always ask my students that, after 5 years, what would you be? And they all say scientists. I said, no, you'll be philosophers. You'll get a degree of philosophy. It's an elevated form of science. Darwinian theory of evolution is, yes, people misconstrue it as only thinking of survival of the fittest. And I've written about it. It's not just that. Of course it is there and it is true, but it is also empathy, sympathy. And that is one of, if not half, of what theory of evolution is all about. You wrongly extrapolate Darwinian theory so that you could justify your cruelty. Survival of the fittest. I am fitter than you. So I have my right, I have the gun, you don't, so I'm going to kill you. In fact, Churchill was emphatic with this, and that's they took imperialism to its end. No one should be a free speech absolutist. There are 4 commonsensical caveats that come with it. I think explain it, let me explain it again. You can't, express or say, vouch for freedom of speech and expression if it, endangers physically someone. You can't shout fire inside a crowded theater because that is endangering the lives of others. You can't disclose state secrets in the name of free speech because that is endangering your armed forces. I've never thought of this before, putting it so it might not come out correctly. If you have that smartphone, you are as smart as the next person. You ask me any question and I will pose that question to my smartphone. I have wiped out that inequality that humans, their hubris was boasting for centuries. How would you feel if people attribute the book that has your name, say, अरे ये थोड़ा लिख सकता है यार, ये तो घोष written है, बहुत authors के बारे में लोग कहते हैं. If Rahul were to say, I agree with Modi ji, what Modi ji has done, yes, it is right, उसकी तो दुकान बंद हो जाएगी, So this is a disease that has come up because of the inadequacies of the person, not because of the society. The person believes that he has to continuously be useful.
Hello and welcome to the sidelines of Pondy Lit Fest 2025. My absolute pleasure, delight and honor to host again Anand Ranganathan. Thank you so much for
accepting. My pleasure entirely, Alo.
Thank you so much. In this interview, what I want to do is I want to explore in your public life, there are many facets that we come to see.
You make me sound as if I'm a politician, public life, private life. I have just one life.
Yeah, but so the first one is that you often declare yourself to be a Darwinian atheist.
Yes.
And especially with the discourse in America these days, what I have found is that issues like abortion and whether or not it is ethical or non-ethical, all the arguments are based on religion. So for a Darwinian atheist, it doesn't need to be only abortion, but when you take a stand, do you have a limit? Do you have something that you do not cross, a Rubicon, which in your standard would be unethical as a scientific practice, if it were to be a research that will be good for mankind?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the starting point is Darwinian atheism. The starting point is, what does science say about this? And on many cases, science has either solved that issue or scientific thought, scientific philosophy. Philosophy, I think we've discussed this previously, is an elevated field of science, You graduate to being a philosopher, actually literally, because you have BSc, MSc, and then you have PhD.
Correct.
And I always ask my students that, after 5 years, what would you be? And they all say scientists. I said, no, you'll be philosophers. You will get a degree of philosophy. So it's an elevated form of science, Science is a means to the end, where the end is philosophy. So the point I'm trying to make is that for a lot of issues, science either directly gives you a solution, by which I mean that science has worked on it, or scientific thought, logic, rationale, philosophy will make you come to an answer. That's point number one. Point number two is, increasingly, scientific thought the way science works, the way Darwinian evolution, theory of evolution works, you can extrapolate a lot of things to modern scientific society, the way it is structured, the way it functions. What do I mean? Very simply, one of the cornerstones of Darwinian theory of evolution is, yes, people misconstrue it as only thinking of survival of the fittest, and I've written about it. It's not just that. Of course it is there and it is true, but it is also empathy, sympathy, and that is one of, if not half of what theory of evolution is all about. Kinship, humans caring about each other, animals caring about each other, humans being part of the animal kingdom. We forget that, hence we achieve what I call social Darwinism, not I, but that is a term that is used, social Darwinism. You wrongly extrapolate Darwinian theory so that you could justify your cruelty and your subjugating not just races but continents, annihilating populations, and that is what people did. A, backed by church and that thought, and B, when Darwinian theory came saying that, oh, survival of the fittest, I am fitter than you, so I have my right, I have the gun, you don't, so I'm going to kill you. In fact, Churchill was emphatic with this, and that's the, they took imperialism to its end, which was a destructive end, using the flag of Darwinian evolution, which was totally wrong, and that is what social Darwinian is. But if you look at the theory of evolution, competition is a cornerstone of that, And you look at the way societies work, and all those societies that do not imbibe Darwinian evolution, theory of evolution, that do not imbibe that thinking, which is empathy, which is survival of the fittest, but which also is competition. You tell me how they are doing. They've almost become either extinct or they've been destroyed. I talk of USSR, I talk of all the socialist economies, I talk of all those economies or nations rather that are super nationalist, othering others. They've been destroyed or they would be destroyed. What would survive is extrapolation of logic and rationale or Darwinian evolution, and competition is one. We don't seem to be learning from this. So to cut a very long story short, it helps me in every which way. That's the first thing I fall back on.
Okay, so as you will find out in the questions I asked you, I'm trying to explore your facets,
Yes.
and I know we have had a discussion on freedom of expression at PLF, but I don't want you to repeat that. What I want you to articulate, and I think I read it once in a very beautiful paragraph you'd written, is that you believe you're an absolutist.
Yes.
But the fact is that the way Indian society is structured, it is not in the nature of the Hindus or the Indic community to feel outraged by quote-unquote blasphemy. And we don't have a religion-ordained dictate to kill anyone for apostasy or insulting anyone.
Yes.
While the other, living in a democracy and not under Sharia, is doing that. So in that respect, can you situate freedom of expression in India today?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. But let me just answer it with two questions. What is the punishment for apostasy in Islam? Death. And what is the punishment for apostasy in Hinduism?
Rice bag.
Shall I answer?
No.
Bharat Ratna. Ambedkar.
Correct. That's true.
He said, I was born a Hindu, I won't die a Hindu. He took those 22 vows, and those are anti-Hindu, And what do? We gave him a Bharat Ratna. Not just Bharat Ratna, because those are just awards, but I've been to, a place in Nagpur where he shunned Hinduism very famously, in that there's a park there, and where he embraced Buddhism. Tens of thousands of people go there, right? Almost all of them are Hindus. What does that tell you? That this is something that needs to be preserved. Hinduism needs to be preserved, It is unique it is, and I just realized this when somebody mentioned it in the context of Islamic fundamentalism, and I keep saying those, spare the fundamentals but snare the fundamentalists. And I just realized that, somebody was saying, oh, you're a Sanghi and this, that. I said, not just that, I'll go a bit further. I'm a Hindu fundamentalist. I am. Because then I ask you, what are the fundamentals of Hinduism, yaar? Do I not embrace them? I do. All questioning, freedom of expression. You ask whatever you want to. You are unsure of your place, position in the universe. You're always questioning. You're looking up at the stars and wondering why you're here. And while you are here, what is your purpose in life? Those are the fundamentals: kindness, empathy, respect for others, respect for your gurus, everything is primed towards embracing those fundamentals. So I am a Hindu fundamentalist.
No, what
now,
I did...
free speech, just to tell you now, when I say I'm a free speech absolutist, that is to save time. Because no one should be a free speech absolutist. There are 4 commonsensical caveats that come with it. I think explain it. Let me explain it again. Okay. You can't, express or say, vouch for freedom of speech and expression if it, endangers physically someone. You can't shout fire inside a crowded theater because that is endangering the lives of others. You can't disclose state secrets in the name of free speech because that is endangering your armed forces. You can't lead a mob to violence or incite it, because that is obviously endangering the lives of others. And finally, you should not infringe on the laws that are made to protect someone's reputation, which is defamation laws. So, you can say Anand is corrupt. Fine. What is corruption? It has an abstract nature. You can say it, but you can't say Anand took $1 million from a money. That harms my reputation. I will sue you. That's defamation law. So, with those caveats, I am a free speech absolutist. That's what I meant to say.
So now, the third question that I want to ask you is this, because I'm with the way you talk in public life, I want to make a distinction between 2 things. You can be wry, you can be witty, you can be humorous, and you can be sometimes quite burlesque also, if I may use the word, Rabelaisian, let's put it. But there is a difference between that and a certain degeneration of discourse where we have normalized chor, chokidar, and God knows what. So can you, because you're constantly in public with this aspect of you, where you're at your witty best, when you're confronting people who are debating the same issue, but with such degenerated language that I don't even know if first of all, a dialogue is possible. So do you have any comment to make as to what extent we have allowed the degradation of language to enter into our public discourse? Where are we going to go with this? I don't want anybody to be sacred, but you understand, what are you going to talk about when you're using these words?
Yeah, but then why blame the debaters? You look at the discourse in any institute, organization, in any field of professionalism, you can say, in any vocation, any occupation, any arm of democracy. You look at what the Supreme Court judges are saying. How is that in any way less egregious than what my debater friend is saying? I personally don't find that, I personally find people have put themselves on a pedestal, thinking that, oh, they are wiser than the other people. Discourse can be is being sullied by everyone, Debaters, many of them who are using that language, they come with an agenda. And if you were to notice, especially in the last couple of years, I've realized there's no point debating with them. They're not going to change. If they change, they won't be called anymore to the debates. Because anchors have also realized, यार दूसरा पक्ष चाहिए तो उसके लिए उठा के ले आते हैं उनको. Many times in private they said, यार, I agree with you. So many times. But the moment the camera lights are on, अरे कह कैसे दिया ये तुमने, हिम्मत कैसे हुई रंगनाथन, ये I know it. Now if they say, I agree with you, yes, you're right. If Rahul were to say, I agree with Modi ji, what Modi ji has done, yes, it is right. उसकी तो दुकान बंद हो जाएगी, you know. So this is a disease that has come up because of the inadequacies of the person, not because of the society. The person believes that he has to continuously be useful. The most pertinent example is staring in front of our eyes. I don't know why we don't use that very often. Modi, when he brought those farm reforms, I mentioned it yesterday, he would have thought they are the easiest reforms to bring. Because BJP didn't promise them, Congress did. They weren't in BJP manifesto, they were in Congress manifesto, almost verbatim. And one of the 3 farm laws, the Congress, in the erstwhile Congress rule state of Punjab, they had enacted it as an act. Contract farming, it was being used. So Modi would have thought, why would they object? Now the same question that you used, quote unquote, derisively against my debater friends, many of them are communists or Congress or jo bhi hai, you use it against Rahul. Rahul ke manifesto mein jo tha, wo Modi ne pura kiya. Then why did Rahul call them as black laws? Why did the nation come to a standstill? Why did he support all those, anarchy and bloodshed and mayhem? Because he felt he has to be useful, and his sense of usefulness is opposing Modi whatever he does. Even if what he's done is what was promised by Rahul. Isse better analogy kya mil sakti hai?
So my next question is actually a follow-up on this one only. So I think people like you, you have given the audience a habit of banking on the research that you do, and we have learned, I think, as an audience, how to give rebuttals. And you are very conscious, I know, of the fact that you have to be absolutely watertight with your research. You cannot afford to make a mistake, because, and we also don't expect you to make a mistake. That's the pressure we have put on you.
That is an added.
Absolutely. But you see very clearly, whether it's a Machiavellian dictum or whether it's Goebbels, the fact is that the opposition will repeat the lie and keep the narrative alive.
Of course.
So in your opinion, when it comes to the final narrative that reflects onto society, you think that the habit of rationale and research and data you're giving is winning? Or is Goebbels winning?
Okay, so that's again, stop asking great questions. Okay. No, but I'll tell you why it's important and why people don't realize the answer to this is also very important. What is the primary role of a scientist? The primary role of a scientist is never to set an agenda, is never to speak from the rooftops about his discovery or how he believes that his discovery should be the one that should be accepted and his way of thinking should be accepted. The primary only role of a scientist is to put his findings on the table. That's all. So I don't consider my role at all as driving a narrative. Absolutely, even if that narrative is truth, it's not my job at all. I will be doing disservice to my belief that I am a scientist. इससे बड़ी disservice नहीं हो सकती. Just imagine, I mean, I'm not talking about just me. I'm talking of the people who inspire me. Darwin came up with The Origin of Species. That book was not as devastating as his next book, The Descent of Man, where he said we've come down from apes, Who was he fighting with? The church, the entire knowledge of the world. And in those ages, there was no democracy. He could have been killed like Galileo, crucified. Did he fight the church? No, he didn't. Did he fight the kings and the imperialist armies and said, look, this is what science tells you, you bloody rogues, and this is the narrative that... He did no such thing. He just wrote that book, he put it on the table. What happened next as a consequence of those books is history, right? Now, would you have wanted Darwin to have just done that? Or would you have wanted Darwin to have taken those books, as is the norm today in this corrupted world, is not only must you write a book, Not only must you come up with a discovery, you must take that discovery to people. Yeah, no, don't.
Okay.
So, this thing about driving a narrative, no, you come up with facts and figures and revelations, you put them on the table and that's it. If somebody picks it up, that's great. If somebody doesn't pick it up, it's for the record. Maybe 5 years down the line, somebody will pick it up. 10 years down the line, somebody will pick it up, Please remember that majority of the scientific discoveries, have been picked up after decades after they were made, So now
you're segueing perfectly into my next question, which is so nice. So you just mentioned downstairs in your session about Lakshmi Kuti and how her plants, there'll be research and it'll be lost to another country who will make use. So now there are 2 points here. One is that you are into teaching higher education students, and you're also into research, which is frontier. So being in the profession for so long, and as an educator, I want you to tell me about the condition and the quality of the Indian education system. Do you have a comment to make? Are we making curious minds? Are we making informed minds? Are we making, I don't know if the word muggers exists, but are we just, what is wrong? Like, I heard you talk about there should not be exams. Yeah. So we are all products here in the room of those who never pass an exam.
And I never made that connection. Amazing. I have till this instant never made that connection that students from ashram, Aurobindo ji's ashram, and this way of life and philosophy have never taken exams. Isn't it amazing that 60, 70 years after this thinking was propounded, AI, I believe, is to be, that role has to be fulfilled. That's amazing. I thank you. I never thought of that. So here are people, my faculty colleagues just went after me with hammer and tongs. Oh, how dare you say students should not take exams, and that is what our role is. And here we have people who've never taken exams.
Yes, even the concept of the open book exam.
Right.
I find it's such a correct way of actually evaluation rather than...
I don't find that. Yeah. I mean, after AI, honestly, people don't realize, look, ab wahi hai,
the result.
Are we going to segue into philosophy? If we are, then
please do.
I'm just saying, let's just say we are all Sisyphuses.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Whatever you teach, why you're teaching it. The ultimate job is that you will be pushing a rock.
So tell me, you still have to answer that question. Are we turning out to be inquisitive, or are we turning out to be extremely utilitarian with our studies? I don't like jaded kids, I'll be very honest. That's why I'm asking you.
It doesn't matter what we're turning out as. It really doesn't matter. I think people, if you have that smartphone with you, right? I've never thought of this before, putting it so it might not come out correctly. If you have that smartphone, you are as smart as the next person.
There is no intelligence in refining search?
Khatam.
How?
Yeah. You ask me any question, and I will pose that question to my smartphone. I'm as smart as Einstein or what, I might be extrapolating there, but in majority of the cases, I have wiped out that inequality that humans, their hubris was boasting for centuries. Oh, I am intelligent, or you are nothing, and this derisory way of talking. College, school, it's gone. Realize it. And why be angry at it? You need to embrace it, because as I mentioned 2 days ago,
you don't even want your students to be curious.
Curiosity is driven internally. It may come in, it may not come in. देखो यार, 2-3 axioms रखो.
Okay.
If your axiom is we are all Sisyphuses, then your
Can you just explain to the audience who is Sisyphus?
Okay. So Sisyphus was a character, a Greek character, who cheated death, and very famously mentioned by Camus in his very famous essay called The Myth of Sisyphus, which has the most unbelievably profound first sentence that ever exists in any book, and that sentence goes as, I might not get it verbatim, but it says the only philosophical problem remaining today is that of suicide. Why don't humans commit suicide? That's what he asked. And he took this example of Sisyphus. And Sisyphus cheated death, and the gods, Greek gods, were incensed. And they cursed him. And he said, every morning you'll get up and all you'll do is push a rock up a hill. And by evening that rock would be on top, and the rock would tumble down. And the next morning you would repeat that process till eternity. Till eternity. That's what you're condemned to do. And Camus said, we are all Sisyphuses. We are all pushing a rock. And how right he was. And this happened during the World War, that he got this idea, myth of Sisyphus. Many might have got this idea before him, whatever, but I knew of this idea through him. Now, he did not back it up with science, which is beautiful, because in the last 100 years, science has backed this process beautifully, perfectly. We should have another discussion on this, and he also gave a solution. He says, well, we are all Sisyphuses, so why don't we commit suicide? He said, because that process of pushing the rock must make Sisyphus happy. That's the last sentence of his essay. As a scientist, backed by all the scientific evidence, I don't believe that part is true. So I'm even more of a, you can call pessimist or whatever it may be. That part is not true. Why should it make us happy? It doesn't make me happy, that process.
But the nature of your research is 1,000 misses with a good hit. So that you come on.
It doesn't matter at all.
You're Sisyphus. So it doesn't make
I'm
you
a
happy.
total Sisyphus. So, everyone is. Every night I switch off the light and I think, oh my God,
Anand,
next day is the same thing again and again and again.
That's the whole point. Yeah. It has not led you to suicide. You are getting something that you are not defining as pleasure.
Yeah. So
which you are pushing again because you look forward to work. I saw that video where you were preventing to go to work. We were prevented to go to work in JNU, and that was the only time I've seen you angry.
Yeah. So maybe okay. So that's different. It's not that. You can say I wanted to work or I would have achieved something tremendous in those 3 hours if I was allowed to enter and work. It was just that I don't like people preventing others. I say, right to protest is not right to prevent. I am for all people protesting, but you can't that's not, so that angered me then. It won't anger me now, honestly. I'm more of a Sisyphus now than I was 5 years ago.
But till the point you're still pushing, you have not come, you still don't disagree with Camus, is what I'm telling about you. Please accept. Okay, so now what we will come to is this. The reason I'm asking you this question is because you like to. I'll get an honest answer from you. I don't want...
All my answers are honest.
That's the reason why I'm asking you this question, because most will give me a convoluted answer because of the simple fact that today India, we have a mixture of population, and it has been proven enough for centuries that given the Hindu-Muslim issue, and it's not really a minority, they're 200 million or more, we tend to live together separately. Even in Pondicherry, we are separately ghettoed. And I think last year, Shamika ji and Pradeep also, they showed us through their data. So given that this is what it is, we have this population and we have the Hindus, what is your idea of a strife-free, happily coexisting society? Given the fundamentals of everything that you see, I want a direct answer. There you can be, yeah.
Well, okay, you want a direct answer?
Yes, because I want the direct answer. I want it. I want the truth. What do you think? Yeah, as you see it.
So the direct answer was that now that we, for better or for worse, did not hear or heed the advice of Dr. Ambedkar. You know what his advice was, right? Population exchange.
Yes.
He said till such time all Muslims go to Pakistan and Hindus remain here or non-Muslims remain here, you will not be able to solve this communal issue. This is what he said. We didn't pay advice to that. Fair enough, nahi kiya. Gandhi और नेहरू के बच्चे हैं हम लोग. Under those circumstances, are we going to change anything? Do we want to change anything? That's the question I'm asking you. Do you want it changed? Are you happy with the way things are?
Absolutely not.
Not, na?
Absolutely
so
not.
Then you have to do two things.
Now you'll go to Tagore.
No, I don't. The two things are, one, you have to remove the discrimination against Hindus. I've written a book.
Yes.
I won't elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Right? It is constitutional, legal, social, educational, all fronts. Remove it. Hindus are not asking for appeasement. They're asking for discrimination against them being removed. It is preposterous that Hindus are being blamed for something that is being done to them. That's point number one. Point number two, you have to have an iron hand making sure that no discrimination is carried out in India. Now that's more difficult easier said than done. Particularly because you have 250 million Indians who I would say, and I've written about this, good Muslim, bad Muslim, you've said that India
I
is
share
peaceful.
That with all my students.
Thank you. India is peaceful because of bad Muslims, right? But at a click of a finger, they can switch to good Muslim. And India would not exist as we know, right? India would not exist as we know. The proof is there. Kashmir Valley. How many other proofs that you want? So, are we prepared as a country to take those steps? I don't think we are. We are going in the other direction. Classic case is the Waqf Act. What the hell do you mean by amending it? Right? Yes, I was forced to take this position because it's a defeatist thing. Perfect is the enemy of good. And I've said it before. So, an amended Waqf Act is better than the Waqf Act. But still so many clauses exist in the amended Waqf Act that are blatantly discriminatory against non-Muslims. That fly in the face of India being called as a secular state. Waqf survey is being paid for by Indian government. So many other cases. Waqf by user is now gone proactively, right? But it is not to be applied retrospectively. Now, admittedly, a lot of Waqf by user things are not registered. So there, yes, it doesn't stand. But a lot of Waqf properties are registered Waqf properties through applying the clause of Waqf by user. You can't do anything about it because retrospective application is not there. I'm just saying that it's a joke that is going on. Himmat hai nahi, aur bolte aur rehte ho ki change karo. What do you do then? Just live out your life, okay? And have faith in Sisyphus. You're just pushing a rock. It's just painful. The hill has a lot of potholes, let me put it this way. Okay. But it is still a hill that you have to push a rock against.
This last question of mine, Anand, to you is from a friend, and I hope you will answer it because...
First, I'm delighted to say that you have friends. Just joking, that was a complete joke.
Yeah, I'm so impossible. I'm so impossible. Mat kato.
Your students are smiling. I don't. No, tell me.
So, now the thing is that, I admire people who are multifaceted. Unidimensional, it's very good, but then when I see there are, very obvious character flaws or some, like for instance, let me put it very clear to you. I know that you're very interested in good cinema. You're sensitive to poetry. You like the good, like we discussed last year.
About poetry, I will mention something, but continue.
Sensitive to beauty and aesthetics, and then you have this rigorous scientific mind, which you apply also in your public discourse. And then you have this humor, and then you read so much. So I want to know, what is it as you grew up that made you what you are? Would you read a lot of books? Did you go to cinema? What is the exposure? Did your parents do something to you? Because it's quite an interesting facet, so many interesting facets. And what I've seen about you, because I keep on asking you questions, is that they are not halfway. You sort of go to the absolute and you will give the reference to the best of cinema or the best. So you have used that mind in many ways. So I want to tell me what made you.
Just biding the time. In in the best way possible, I believe. Again, Sisyphus's philosophy. Pushing the rock as comfortably as you can without sweating too much, And because I know that time is precious, especially in my case, so let's use it on something that is beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, very creative, very novel, be it a scientific idea or a beautiful book, Wasting time is a preserve of people who have a lot of time, which is great. I don't mind it at all, Time should be wasted. It's great to be lazy, not do anything. As I said, everyone is a Sisyphus and everyone is as smart as the next person. This is, in terms of intellectually speaking, or speaking about intellectualism, the most equal society you would ever have, if only the people who control the society thought like this. The teachers thought like this. How long will it? But they don't think like this. They are the ones who are, even with the advent of AI and the smartphone and all the answers been given to them by anyone, they will still rate students. They will still decide who is dumb, who is an idiot, who is a genius, who is brilliant. Everyone is a product of this, not AI, as I said, human community intelligence. Something to be proud of. And when you mentioned poetry, I just thought I'll, first of all, thank you for giving me all those wonderful, accolades. I'm not worthy of them at all. I just love spending my time, as everyone does, but I made it a point to spend my time wisely on a lot of things that, when you don't have a lot of time, you use it wisely. I wasted a lot of time when I had a lot of time, let me put it this way. But about poetry, you might have noticed this, that earlier on Twitter, I was a big fan of limericks, and I would say I was, again, nobody, some people appreciated my poetry. I thought I was decent. I would partake in it from time to time, or play of words. And I'll tell you how demoralizing AI can be if you're not careful. Because there was a site that I saw very recently where our president, honorable president, she went to the National War Memorial. And I think it was on 15th August, if I'm not mistaken. And it was pouring down in sheets. And she went to lay a wreath. And that video is so beautiful because she refused the umbrella. So she's drenched and it's pouring down in sheets, and she's walking towards the wall and she puts the wreath. It's one of the most amazing scenes. And when you see something, look, hairs are standing on my thing. When you see something like that, instinctively, if you're a writer or you love poetry or something, you want to put it in words. Okay? So I put it in words, that thing, that imagery. And then I also did something. I wrote down the scenario and I gave it to Grok to write about this poetically. And believe me, Grok came out so beautifully that I did not have the heart to tweet what I tweeted. I said, I am not as good as this Grok. So it was very despondent.
So what's your philosophy? Unless you're the best, you will not.
Yeah.
But that's the best of you.
Unless
Which
you
is
are,
not bad.
Unless you are best, unless you yourself feel good about doing something, that others would believe that, So here is the contradiction, I am still clinging on like a last leaf to human brilliance and ingenuity. When every nerve, sinew is in me telling me it is pointless. AI has taken it over, boss. You can never, as I said, again, 3 cheers for our chess champions, and I love them and I respect them. But then the fact remains they can never beat a computer. Every time you have Gukesh, and these are brilliant people and I love them, as I said. I admire, they are from my country, I love Magnus as well, human ingenuity, brilliance. Every time they win a competition, Prime Minister tweets, President tweets, it's great. But bhai, you can never beat. You are never the best.
Okay, so then tell me.
So I didn't tweet it, but I just want to end there. Then a second thought came to me, not just a defeatist thought, But another thought that even if I were to not have, seen what Grok has written, and now you can, as I mentioned, you can give hundreds of styles to AI to write it in the style of or poetry of Neruda or of this or Naipaul or Kapuscinski, whatever. It comes out absolutely pat because it's learned from the everything. Millions of books and words have led it to these few lines. You can't beat that, right? Then I thought another thing that I said, because even if I had not consulted Grok and then said I'm not going to tweet what I have created, now I am always in two minds of thinking of a brilliant tweet and tweeting it, because poetry, especially run of words, play of words, because people would start believing that this is not Anand, this is so beautiful, this has to be an AI driven. ये added मेरे पे वो आप बोझा आ गया है. I don't know how to solve it.
Because you don't know that people can expect that excellence from you.
No, going forward, I would name one friend. I can see from his tweets, it's all AI generated. He was talking differently, tweeting differently, and then comes Grok and ChatGPT और जज्बात बदल गए, सब बदल गया उसका. His tweets are beautifully structured, amazing wordplay, poetic, literary, sometimes Tharoor on steroids. I can see the difference. He can't see it. So, and that terrifies me because people would actually, they would lower me in their esteem. कि इसकी creation ही नहीं है. And that is hurtful.
You had told me once something about the tyranny of being a genius and they think that they are inadequate.
That's separate
just
issue.
Repeat that once, please.
No, I mean, they always have these bouts of, doubt. Always
Can I just reflect that word to you now?
Absolutely.
I'm doing it because you can't influence my thought.
That
prerogative I have.
You may have
I'm
it.
doing that.
That's absolutely not on. Moving on, you see where this is leading to, Alo. This is leading to humans not being able to do anything. Think about it. Why write? Why play chess? Okay, dil behlane ke liye khayal acha, you will beat another human. But then you will never be able to you are never the best. Or writing may, that the beauty, the rhythm of the sentences, Napoleon, Kapuscinski, it would take your breath away. Now AI is doing the same. That's like, it's crazy just to think about it, that you are jobless, that you can't create anything as beautiful as that, or you might, which is as beautiful as that, you won't beat it. And B, people will start thinking what you've genuinely created, it's actually not you, somebody else is doing it. How about a book? What do they call those? Ghost writers. How would you feel if people attribute the book that has your name, say, अरे ये थोड़ा लिख सकता है यार, ये तो घोस्ट रिटन है. बहुत ऑथर्स के बारे में लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं कहते हैं?
आर्टिकल्स के बारे में
इसलिए तो लिख ही नहीं सकता. आर्टिकल्स के बारे में इतना कहते हैं, बुक्स के बारे में कहते हैं. How would the author feel? That's why I'm saying writing books I'm very lucky that the book that is coming out in 2 months' time, we took 7 years to write, and most of it was written pre-AI. So nobody can accuse us of using AI. But moving forward, it is pointless. Please, as humans, realize it.
I'll wait for that new book, maybe.
Yes.
No, not for this book, but now you're thinking that now that AI has come, you might not even write. But when you do write...
So let me add to that. I will write, I think non-fiction writing is now pointless. Pointless is very hard, but I would say it's going towards that. Fiction, you can still have an idea that AI will also have, so you can actually ask AI, write a book on this fictional thing, it will do it. But if you have a novel idea and you have your own experiences, as Naipaul said, material चाहिए लिखने के लिए, where is that material? There is no such thing as a child prodigy writer. कुछ सीखा ही नहीं है उसने, experiences ही नहीं है. वो आपके novel experience है, उस पे आप fiction लिख सकते हैं. तो अभी थोड़ा 5-10 साल चलेगा. But writing is on the wall, pun not intended.
So on that note, I would like to end this by agreeing to disagree with you, which is an achievement with Anand Ranganathan.
We will meet in 5 years' time.
Absolutely, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you. What a pleasure.